Okay, so I am going to open up Nantucket Visitor Service meeting for September 11th, 2018. This meeting is audio-video recorded, but before we go on to the approval of the minutes, I'd like to introduce Thayer Hale as our newest member, and maybe everyone go around and just say who they are. I'm sure she may know.
Peter Morrison.
Janet Schulte.
Diane Flaherty.
Mary Malaves.
Gene Mann. David Sharp.
And we welcome you. All right. And then, so go on to approval of, I guess I went out of line here, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Approval of minutes from April 10th, May 8th, and June 12th.
So you're looking for a motion on all at once. So moved.
Yes.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay. Minutes approved.
We have to get an official vote.
Hmm?
We have to get a vote.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Gotta retrain these people.
Still in my way. All right, and I went out of line, went out of sequence here, and welcoming Thayer Dunn, and Karen Maycumber will be here. She's going to be running a little bit late this morning, and she's our other new member. Can we go on to elect the chair and vice chair for 2018 and 2019? Or shall we wait for Karen, or,
I think we could proceed.
okay?
I don't know of any rule that has to have everybody there here, but it's up to you.
Why don't we wait till she gets here and go back to this? Unless anybody wants to do it now.
We can
Okay,
wait.
okay, thank you. So then the next thing is to approve the annual visitor service report.
Which is in your packet.
It's in the packet, which is right here. It's this one right here. Visitor Service Advisory Committee. It's our annual report to
The town.
the town. It's this one right here. It's,
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Did you find it, Peter and David?
Very short.
Yes, I
After
mean,
the
Peter and
minutes.
Jean?
There we go. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
A motion, will somebody make a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? But Jove, I got it. Okay. So the next thing is to identify speakers for the 2018 and 2019 meetings.
Yeah, and I drafted a
There's-
list of folks that we hadn't met with yet, that, or things that we normally do that I thought we might want to consider for this year. And there might be others that people would like to hear from.
I'd like to see somebody from the High Line.
Yeah, I got them on here.
Yeah, I just circled that. All of it.
I had two ideas here, and I don't know if they're good ideas or not, but one is that the Brant Point Hatchery is doing some very interesting things, and they are now offering tours of the hatchery. And Tara Riley seems agreeable to offer tours. I mean, she's, I think, actively promoting the idea. I don't know if there's anything more to say other than we ought to connect with her. We might, you know, if you're looking, you have more spaces for speakers than speakers. She could come in and briefly tell us what's going on, which is very interesting.
Have we promoted that this year? I know we talked about it in the
We talked
spring.
about it early in the season as something that, that people could go and do.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that I would move up to the next level of saying, we could put a little flyer out somewhere, or just have something saying among the things to do here, in addition to going to things like the Lightship, you know, basket museum and everything, there's all sorts of things. There's this neat hatchery. And sort of the narrow self-interest part of it is that there are people who are making donations to this project. They go in and they say, wow, this is impressive. You know, they get energized about it. And then when there's a big initiative about water quality to, you know, to maintain the fisheries, there will occasionally be someone who steps forward with a donation. I'm not saying that's the major purpose, but it's a shame for it not to have greater visibility. And I think Tara is eager to do it. It's not like it's imposing on her day. There's actually a little YouTube video online which captures the whole thing. You don't have to go to the hatchery to get the thing, but it's very nice to see it. So I would propose that we invite her to come and just noodle, noodle informally with us, maybe give us a 5-minute, 10-minute overview of what's going on, and then we explore ways that we might help move its visibility up somewhat, and she might be the best judge of that. The other idea I had was, and it was stimulated by these statistics about the children's beach activities. You know, anything's got a data in it, and a time series attracts my attention. And then it occurred to me that Alan Worden might be interested in not giving us a big talk about the data platform, but just, again, to sort of say, are there ways that some of our data might be of use to the data platform? And I can certainly take the lead on running by him some of the statistics, and he might have some ideas about, you know, how we could make use of some of the data at the platform. Alan's agenda is to make the data platform relevant to things that are going on locally, and so I think he would welcome the opportunity to have to be able to demonstrate that the data platform is doing useful things for the town via strengthening visitor services or somehow fine-tuning it. So that would be a second thing, and I would say that's probably something to put off. Maybe just kind of have it on a wait list so that sometime when he's got a little time, which is pretty rare, he might say, sure, I'll do it at your next meeting.
thank you. Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you? Sorry, I'm late.
Have you had visits from the Great Point trustees?
I don't think we have we? That's
No.
just
Or maybe Diane. Yeah.
She's talking about Diane that runs it, Diane Lang.
Diane, like, yeah.
Yep. Welcome to Karen Maycumber.
Thank you.
Do you know everybody before we continue the
Peter
discussion?
Morrison.
Hi, Peter.
Janet,
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 yeah,
Diane Flaherty.
Hi, Diane.
Fairhill.
Hi.
Mary Malaves.
Gene Mann?
Jane Shepherd.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We are talking about suggestions for visitors, for speakers for our meetings for 2018 and 2019. If you just
Okay.
want to go through your
Facial
packet.
acceptance.
Oh, great, thank you.
We chatted with Diane this summer about the idea of having their van pick up visitors to the Great Point tour at Visitor Services.
Yeah, 'cause that's a major part of the getting out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because right now, they park overnight at Mariah Mitchell at 33 Washington Street, but they think they could get more business by doing that. We're seeing an increase in shuttle service, but we'll talk about that later. Are there any others on this list that look of interest to you all?
I think tour operators is kind of a cool thing. I find out whether people, what they had a good experience or didn't, or,
Yeah, I
If
was thinking
that's why
about
you-
Gail and Val,
yeah, oh, exactly.
those two, yeah, the smaller operators.
Yeah,
I think they are barometers for what's going on with
Right.
visitors that are here frontline. Diane sees them
Mm-hmm.
in certain ways.
yeah,
They're with them for a couple of hours.
right. A lot
So-
comes up when you have them. in-
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And comments.
Yeah, I think that's a powerful rationale for the tour operators. I was just thinking that if you wanted to focus on what's going wrong, like I'm thinking traffic, congestion, just simple things like getting people out to the Great Point thing and saying, if you wanted to do it, here's a way to do it real easy. Nobody knows about it. Here's a brochure that says you can do it. The tour operators really are in touch, and I think if we just said, tell us where things are not quite going right, but a little bit of tweaking could improve it, we could learn a lot from them. I would put that maybe at the top of the list, actually.
Well, why don't I start with them and then see if we can get the High Line in here in November? And whether we want that to be the local agent, or if I can see if I can get one of the Scudder boys over?
Is anybody else, that was just my suggestion, that doesn't, is anybody else?
Well, I think we've
have
had
any-
steamships, so I think we need
Yeah,
to hear,
that's-
because they're the
Right,
fast boat year-round operator.
Yeah,
Phil would probably come over.
yeah.
He usually, recently, he's been a little more involved like he used to be, and he's been coming to the chamber annual dinner in October and things.
Yeah.
So I think of the Scudder people, Phil probably knows the island the
they
best.
could come over on that first boat that gets in here at 7:15, 7:10, and
Yeah.
be here for the meeting,
Perfect.
so that we wouldn't have to
And the other
adjust
person that
anything.
does a lot of his group sales, which is a lot of the day trippers and not only tour but boat visitors, is Dee Ferrand, and Dee's been with him with the Scudders for years, and she runs all of that. She runs a lot of the site visits.
Mm-hmm.
So she's another good barometer of what people are looking for when they want to come over here.
I'm just thinking, have we ever thought of the two ferries as kind of the key interface between visitor services and the people who are about to arrive and are spending an hour having a good time? And I don't know, do we have any, Diane, do we have anything, like while you're here, talk to somebody or pick up some brochures that tell you about the things you might want to know about and you can read about them at your leisure while you're enjoying your trip over? I mean, I know we talked about having a mobile visitor services person as they get off the ferry, which is chaotic, but this is an hour of time when they can
Flip through.
browse and
something.
say, oh, I
Well-
sure want to do those things.
I mean, we've even talked about having somebody on the boat.
I mean, that would be the
Visitor
ideal
service.
thing, but even if you didn't have somebody on the boat, you would just say, can we coordinate with the ferry and say, we'd like to have a little place where, that's highlighted that says, while you're sitting here, here are the things you might want to consider doing. And
I think
have
both of them do blast emails to their client base. The Highline does down on the docks,
Yeah,
and
down
they
the
list
docks,
all the
yeah.
things that are going on. They're very involved with the chamber side of the calendar.
Yeah.
And obviously, the steamship does it as well, not only just for residents, but for visitors. So that sort of gives you a little, tidbit of what's going on.
Yeah.
And Highline's been really good about down on the docks and linking.
Well, maybe
That's
if we
their
have
blast.
one of them come in, we just say, what are some ways to, to sort of move it up to the next level so that people are really encouraged, those who want to are encouraged to plan what they want to do while they're spending an hour in the ferry, and we somehow buttress the resources rather than just a short video saying there are lots of things to do, this, and they say, well, how do I actually do item number 4? I want to do that. Is there something I could put in their hand?
So more of the attractions rather than
Yeah.
the events that are happening while they're
Yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly. The things that you can do that you might not have known about, without swamping them.
I don't know what collateral-free publications they're still distributing on board.
Well, maybe that's, we
There
should
used
talk
to
to
be
them.
racks for Yesterday's Island.
Right.
Which I believe they
And I
still
don't know if
have.
I don't think the Chamber Guidebook's on there anymore. No.
No, it's pretty expensive to put stuff on those boats.
Exactly.
But the guide is in the departure terminal, correct?
Right.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
I've
there
seen
are
it there.
kiosks over there,
Right,
or rack cards over there.
yeah.
They used to have paid rack space in Hyannis. They still do that?
There's rack
For the
space, I don't
steamship?
know, we don't put anything over there.
There used to be paid rack space in the terminal.
I know they make a
The
lot of money on
Kimberly managed.
The Highline makes a lot of money on their monitors.
Yes.
Do they really? Huh.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was
Well, the
thinking
advertising
about.
company makes a lot of money on the monitors.
Captive audience, right?
Pardon me?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Monitor.
Great. Well, why don't I start with like I said, the Highline and the tour operators, and then move down the list.
Okay.
As folks are available. And I want the cultural district to come in fairly soon too, but we'll talk about that. in a
Yeah,
minute.
yes, that was
Yeah.
on my. My Ship Basket Museum is doing a lot of stuff. They were just in the news for something. What grant did they just get a grant or?
Probably.
So Janet, did anybody else want to talk about speakers for 2018, 2019? Want to think about it for our next meeting? We'll start with.
I think that's a good
I
start.
don't need to vote, we don't need to vote on that, so. All right, so I know we have to go back to elect the chair, but we might as well go to director's update.
Yeah, it's been a busy and productive summer. Of course, we had our focus on the 4th of July, which had a foggy fireworks, but the day of the 4th was hot and people had a great time downtown. We had a major campaign to reduce the use of water balloons, and I think, I would say by my eye, we had about a 75% reduction in the use of water balloons on Main Street this year. So we will continue that push because it's going to take a long time and we'll probably never get to zero. But there was a lot of effort and funds put into it by administration and my office. The realtors were involved. We had the inns involved, and we had the stores take out water balloons. There's a push for the big water guns, but I'm going to try to do one thing at a time here, bite off as much as I can chew. So that was a success there. We had about 100 kids at Children's Beach on the afternoon of the 4th. And as I said, the fireworks were a little foggy, and they would have been foggier if I'd waited another 10 minutes, so. We've also been working on a walking map of Sconset to give to visitors,
Yes.
or a map of Sconset to give to visitors. David's done a draft. We've met with the Sconset Trust and the Civic Association and Michael May. They reviewed it and given some feedback on it, so we think we'll have it out. We're gonna do it in a pad format, like the Mariah Mitchell ones, so that we can hang it outside the Sconset Market, because it's a pretty big space, so to take a lot of counter space would be counterproductive. So we're gonna try to find a way to hang it up somewhere out there so people can take it as they wanna do it. And we'll have a map of the village, the Ruddick Commons area out there next to the golf course. It's a little walking trail. And of course, the Bluff Walk will be on there too. And there's one blank space where we're still trying to decide whether we're gonna put on some kind of keys, like the restaurants are green, the market is red, whatever, or there's a push to do sort of how to be courteous on the Bluff Walk behavior, because I gather a lot of people go up and sit on people's porches.
Oh,
Yeah,
And the chapel does have tour hours
yeah,
available too.
yeah. So that kind of information might go on there. So we're still kicking that around. I have been working on a public art installation procedure for the roundabout artwork, because drove by it one day and all of a sudden there was a blue man there. And I was like, how did that happen? And nobody knew. So now we have a process in place. I've worked with the sculptors who work in there. And we're going to even have an engineer look at it to make sure that it's safe every year when they put it in there. I mean, I'm pretty confident that the sculptors know what they're doing, but I also think for matters of liability, since it's town property, we ought to have an engineer take a peek at it. So that's in the final phases of getting done. We did a map of the downtown water refilling stations that we put on our Facebook page, and I've posted it a couple times on Facebook since then. I get a lot of comments on, wow. And I think it's going to be part of a campaign this year. Libby wants to focus on how to make the public more mindful of trash, and I'm looking at your single-use water bottle.
Yep.
To get people to use water bottles and to put more of those drinking stations in around town for people to have access to them. There are more than you think, and the businesses are happy to have people come in and use them because it brings customers in the door. So I've started working with James Russell on Nantucket's 360th anniversary. We had a long meeting yesterday about what we want to do to mark that event. 1659. We're talking about having a 1659 party that starts at 4:59 someday in June for the community next summer. That was his idea. I thought it was very clever.
I think it's a great idea.
1,600 hours. We've bought some new bike bollards that we're going to put around the block that the town building, visitor center, sheriff's station, that to put more bike stations in because we're encouraging more bikes, so we need more places to park them. I've been working with the library, the Athenaeum, and the African Meeting House on a Frederick Douglass celebration. Frederick Douglass's 200th birthday is this year, as well as Mariah Mitchell's. There's a new walking map of Frederick Douglass's points of interest from his 5 visits to the island. And there'll be a series of events on the 22nd of September that include Douglass's first speech at the Athenaeum at the Nantucket Anti-Slavery Convention when he was 23 years old, and ending up with a proclamation read at the African Meeting House at 2 o'clock and some kind of concert as well there. So that's part of that cultural legacy efforts that I've been working on. And let's see, I'm thinking about doing a census of artists and their impact on Nantucket's economy. It was a similar project done by WPI a few years back, but it came down to be how did organizations spend their money on Nantucket, and it wasn't quite what I was trying to get at. I believe, being a cultural district, and this being the point of being a cultural district, is that the cultural economy does have an impact on our economy here. And I think there might be ways to find out what it is that artists, whether they're musicians or visual artists or poets or writers, need to be able to be even more productive in this economy, and to document that and to celebrate it. So I'm working with Christy at the Chamber on some thoughts about that, and I've got a meeting with Courtney Bridges, who's going to be the next director of the Artists Association, to see what kind of resources she can get from me. We will do an electronic version to get that kind of data and to get those kinds of analysis to see what goes on. So that's a winter project looking forward. And then the last thing that I would mention is the public restrooms this year. We've had a series of closings and openings, and there have been issues with the restrooms, as there have been for a long time. And David has always given me the anecdote that we get 1,000 people a day in there in the summer. I said, well, let's count. So we put the counter that we usually had at the front door into the women's bathroom. And at the peak, we had an average of 1,398 people a day going in the women's room. I think it makes an argument for why we need to upgrade the restroom facility.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that something?
1,393 potential bad impressions of Nantucket.
That's
Yeah.
just the ladies' room.
That's just the ladies' room.
Right, well, multiply it by
Yeah.
2, or maybe 1.5. No, that's a big impact. That's a fact you take to Libby and say, this is the point of influence.
Yeah, yeah. We've, as I mentioned earlier, there's been an increased demand for shuttle space at the visitor center. Shipwreck Museum has started bringing a shuttle in. They started in August. It was pretty late. And they would come in the morning at 1:15 and pick people up, and we would promote it and then take them out there. And then they'd either send them back on the bus or bring the people back, because they're really working hard to increase visitation. As I mentioned, we talked to Diane Lang about having the trustees pick up some of their folks there too. We got to work on that this winter. She wasn't quite ready to do that this summer, but one step at a time. So I think it's great that we're able to provide more of those kinds of services for visitors, and it gives our staff more to talk to visitors about what's available, particularly for people who are here more than a day and can really plan out going to Great Point or the Shipwreck Museum and then doing something else downtown. And I think I'll leave the children's beach stuff for David's report. Are there any questions for me?
Yes, I have a question. I'm intrigued by the counter
I
idea.
think the battery died.
Is that counter something that could possibly be in there permanently during the peak summer months? I mean, how does it work? Like, open the door, close the door type thing, or?
It's, speaker.
Microphone.
It is a counter, it's a rudimentary counter that just counts people. That what you'd have to do is adjust the count, like it will double for people going in and out, so
Right.
you cut that in half. And so basically, it's nothing fancy. I tried initially to have a counter that would connect to the Wi-Fi signal and download to a computer, but town IT nixed that idea because they're worried about spyware and stuff like that.
I get you.
So basically, it's the counter I got was from somebody in Florida, and I could probably order a couple more to fit into the other bathrooms.
How often do you have to service it just the way it works now?
Well, the thing is, you have to reset it each day. You just
I get
put
you.
a safety pin in, and
Right.
press a button and it clears it.
Okay.
So it's nothing
And that's
fancy.
just, and that's the restroom right around the corner from you?
Yeah, it's the women's room.
Is that a big deal if that were imposed on visitor services to say, once a day, you have to reset it and just record the number?
It shouldn't take more than like a minute to do.
All right.
And the thing is that most likely it would be actively done like 5 days a week when I'm
Yeah.
there. And then I would take note of whatever the count was on Friday and then just
Right.
average it out for the
Well,
3 days over the weekend.
If I reveal this to Alan Worden,
Yeah.
he's gonna immediately, and I would say, it hadn't occurred to me until now, but, we're trying to figure out how many people are here in August by how much garbage is brought out to the dump. And here we got, a much more robust symptomatic indicator. I mean, I can tell you that demographers would go for this right away, and they would say, if you're counting people going into the restaurant, and you tell me what the weather is, sunny or raining, we'll divide it into two groups, and we got a terrific measure of how the population is, the sheer volume of visitors in that area, fluctuates by day.
And when the Cisco van returns.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If you want to know how many people are on the island,
That's
it doesn't
that's
matter.
actually a very good point.
That's okay, it all averages out, but I would flag that as something that I think would be a terrific contribution, and that would probably get you a lot of free data from Alan Worden if you said, we'll do that for you.
Well, what we need is to have the bathrooms opened and
Yeah.
operable and more bathrooms,
Right.
which,
Just keep
You
in mind
know-
that the bathrooms are open from like 8 or 9 in the morning till about 1 o'clock at night in the summertime.
yeah.
So my original estimate of 1,000 people was based upon the normal 8, 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock
Yeah.
at night when there originally was that was the original schedule.
You got 1,400 people a day, that's a good barometer. If it's 700 a day at some other time, you could say, that's telling us something about how things are varying. I won't spend any more time on it, but that's a really powerful idea.
And I just wanted better bathrooms.
That's been my pet peeve for all the years I've been on visitor service, and more.
Yeah.
In the taxi, that's the number 2 question. First is, what do you do all winter? And second, where's the bathrooms?
Yeah.
Is that the only one you have?
Any other questions for me? Thanks.
So visitor service coordinator update, David?
Okay, so I put in our count for children's beach activities. This is something that
I love it.
the staff that was able to do this a lot better this year. And I had this run from the first week that they started in June till like the last official week in August, which was ending August 19th. And overall, we had 3,885 people use the facility, or use our activities or do our activities over these 6, 7, actually 9 weeks. And I thought it was interesting because that you could see each week the movies and the concerts would vary, depending on the popularity of the band or the movie. And also, when you see zeros, most likely that's because of the weather, when it was raining and nobody came out. So that is something that we're gonna keep doing for next year. Anybody have any questions on the children's beach stuff?
I find it interesting that Mondays seem to be the busiest day for general activities.
Yeah. And the
general.
general activities are basically the staff
Not
sets
always.
up a lot of things like hula hoops, badminton net or volleyball net, also musical chairs, and a few other things, jump ropes, stuff like that. And people will come by and use them for 15, 20, 30 minutes at a time, and then go on and do their own thing. And then other people will come by and do this activity. So they're available from about 9:30 in the morning till about 1 in the afternoon. And then we find after 1 o'clock, because the heat of the day, a lot of people are at the beach, so we shut that down. And then the movies are like Friday nights around 8 or 8:30, depending on the sunset. And the concerts are at 6 at night on Sundays. And so there's a lot going on, and we get regular customers coming back. People know what's going on there all the time. So I really like the way how this was handled this year, and actually our staff is coming back next year. The same 2 girls,
Nice.
Cassandra Delgado and Brianna Falconer, are going to be back again, even though they're at college. But they asked me to if they could come back, and I said sure, that's great, because that way they know what they're doing, and everybody seems to have a great time down there when they're there. So
Do we still have things going on? What is the date? I thought we were doing something into
we
the
started to
September.
extend the activities, but we found that there were a couple things that were going against us. One was that I had difficulty booking bands for later beyond August 31st. Also, that the Nantucket project, which is happening this weekend, requested not having a concert because of the noise interfering with their activities, because they're nearby at the White Elephant and a few other places close by. Plus the fact I couldn't book anybody at that time for the bands.
And the concession closed. The Hungry Minnow closed.
Yes, the Hungry Minnow closed for this week. She should be back sometime next week, but only going to be open for a few more weeks. So that was the other thing, is just not having the restaurant there open this week didn't help things either. So, and we're only doing things on like Friday night, Saturday morning, and that was it, because I just don't have.
Right.
The
I'm just,
staff
were we going to do it towards the middle of September originally?
originally
or-
through the 14th, 15th.
Through the 14th,
which
okay,
is
that
this
was,
weekend.
right, okay.
It just
So we're
wasn't
just doing it a
working
little
out
bit.
the way I liked.
Okay. All right.
Okay, all right. So, next I included was, since we haven't met since June, I included the second and third quarter statistics. I won't go through, the stats directly, but, you can see April, May, and June for the first quarter, and then I put them in a graph. And one thing that seems to always stand out is the Cisco van,
Crazy.
which when that started in June, we had nearly a quarter of the questions from the people we helped. Where's the Cisco van? As you can see, the Straight Wharf Kiosk, Greenhound, and then the airport opened up. And then I also included our July and August stats. And overall, for total visitors amongst the 4 places that we had, the main office, Straight Wharf, Airport, and Greenhound, for July we had 10,827 people coming through all 4 places. And then in August we had 12,023 visiting all 4 locations. The other thing I wanted to mention, as we had repositioned the travel and lodging brochure downloads on the website, so that it would be more accessible instead of trying to hunt for it. For June, we had 531 downloads, July 669, and August 468. So a total of 1,668. And compared to those 3 months the year before, in 2017, in that 3-month period, it was 1,185. So nearly 500 different, difference of 500 downloads. That was it. So basically, anybody have any questions?
Would I be correct in saying that the statistics that are showing just the aggregate number of visitors who are coming in saying, I don't know something about this place and I need to ask you, or I need something,
Yes.
would be a reasonable proxy for saying, we got someone here who's not a seasonal resident, or who's certainly not a year-round resident, and it's probably gonna be people whose lack of familiarity identifies them as the concept of a visitor, as opposed to someone who pretty much knows the place but doesn't live there.
Well, yeah, most of our people are actually the largest, the most traffic is when we get in the morning, from the morning fast boats.
I just think this is another thing that I think Alan Worden would be
Yeah.
very interested in knowing about if we had him come here to speak and say, we got this stuff in, because I know this fits into a paradigm that we have
Yeah.
for differentiating visitors from people who are here seasonally, who know their way around. They're not gonna,
Well, we do get some residents coming in looking for something, they may be,
Right.
not sure of something, or,
yeah. When
lost.
you're getting a quadrupling, I mean, it sort of is a barometer of, it's yet another variable that tells us just how big a surge are we getting in August.
Yeah. Most of the questions in the morning are, we're here for the day, what do we do?
I was gonna ask if it was mostly day trippers. Yeah. Okay.
And, you do get people who are here for a week, or like, we're here for the week. I've got family, I've got kids of a certain
Right.
age, or, one of us wants to do one thing, another wants to do a different thing. It varies. I mean.
So they actually, in a sense, self-identify to you. They say, I'm here for a day, or I'm
Yeah.
here for a week. Okay.
Yeah, and
All right.
the crazy thing is some people come for a couple hours in the afternoon
Yeah.
and looking for tours and,
Yeah.
and museums, and the museums close at 5, and these people are here till like 7 or 8, and the tours are all done by like 3, 4 o'clock. And so it varies depending on the time of day.
Yeah.
Well, that would make sense since most lodging, we do the concierge on property before and during, so. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, the only thing we have left to do is to elect the chair and the vice chair for 2018, 2019. Presently, I am the chair and Jean Mann is the vice chair. So any nominations for, what do we do first, the chair?
Would you consider continuing? Just raising the question.
Sure, but my term is up in June. So, and it is only for 2019. Is there any other nominations though before?
Would you continue?
I was gonna
As
nominate.
vice?
Huh?
As vice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If nominated, I will not run if elected, I will not serve. I I am very much in favor of the status quo, and facing the inevitable reality that we're gonna have to, you're eventually gonna say, I can't do it anymore, or no, but I'm very, very pleased with the way things are now. I would be in favor of the status quo, but.
All right, okay. He's a
I would-
smooth
I would-
talker, isn't he?
Well, I would too, considering we have two new members too.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think the continuity would be important.
Right.
Okay.
We
this
have a
year.
lot to learn, yes.
So we need to vote on this, so all in favor is Diane, as myself staying as chair, and Jean staying as vice chair. Jean, do you accept that?
Oh, I do, thank you.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
We have one vacancy still on the committee, because Christina Hall moved away. So if anybody's got thoughts on possible candidates for this
One more,
committee.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any area that's not represented, you know, for example, so on lodging, if you, just to get that
What
perspective?
about the
is there-
arts? Is there someone from the
Restaurants.
arts community?
Restaurants and arts, yeah.
Or another,
Except
or a
Jean's calendar, maybe,
nonprofit,
but-
one of the many nonprofits?
Yeah. Let's think on it. We'll think on it.
Is there anything else to discuss? Anybody want to, the new members, do you have any?
I think it's curious on the warrant for the special meeting in October. There is an article for single-use plastic.
Yeah.
That I think,
If Concord, Mass is any experience, it will take about 5 years for that to
Yeah.
get through.
but it's there
Yeah.
and it's in print.
And I've tried to engage that gentleman in a conversation
Yeah.
because it's a can of worms. I mean, my position is you've got to educate people about why before you say no. It's like a kid, right? And that's part of my campaign, to put up more information about where the water stations are, so that people will start to get familiar with it. And I'm going to argue, as we do this trash campaign, that maybe we should be giving away water bottles with the town seal on it at the visitor center or kiosk, so that people will, with a little guide that says, maybe a map right on the water bottle that says where the water bottle stations are, in order to push people along. But the Stop and Shop must bring in truckloads of those things. And every van that I see, every black Suburban that comes into Naw Shop carries out at least 4 cases of those things when they arrive on a Sunday. So it's going to be a really difficult.
You know, it's very much of a
Ban.
culture change. I never got into using bottled water. I don't know how other people do, but once they get into it, they're into it. And I think, more I listen to you, I think this is a potentially really powerful point of leverage if we can build on it. We just happen to be sitting on the opportunity of saying they're water stations. Well, what do you want to do with that idea?
Yeah.
How far do you want to drive that home? You know, one idea would be to just really brand that in some way and say wherever you see this logo on the window, that's a place to refill your bottle. Another would be to go even farther and somehow just say, here's your water bottle, go around and fill it up. You don't need to, you can accord with our effort to stop dumping plastic into the ocean. And I mean, it shouldn't be all our responsibility, but it stands out to me as an opportunity to really drive this home.
Well, plus I think there's precedent around the country.
Yeah.
You know, it's not our own idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
to
kind
be
of a
honest.
movement, but it's a culture change.
Yeah, but I know a lot of the conservation groups and the
Yeah.
Garden Club of America have written about it for years, and you know, so you've got that sort of education base that understands it, but not everybody does. It's education.
And even if you achieved a 50% reduction, that would be a huge success story.
Even the straw campaign, I think, had some success this summer, because the last few restaurants I've been in, I've gotten a paper straw. Some of them are better than others. And when the straw is a failure, I just throw it out and drink out of the glass like I used to before everybody gave me a straw every time I ordered a drink.
Well, Janet, maybe we could bring this up at the Lodging Association too, because, I mean, a lot of the hotels are actually the worst offenders because they do put little water bottles in everybody's room, which doesn't necessarily have to happen. I mean, you can have kind of fruited water outside for everybody to use, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, there's a meeting next week, I think.
There is, yeah.
Remember
and
when
it might save
Comet
money.
gave out water bottles one whole summer?
Did they really?
Yeah, they did. And was so. Do you remember that years ago?
I do.
It was like 5 or 6 years ago, and they gave Comet gave out water bottles and said our water is
Yeah.
Like
the
this
best.
kind of water bottle or a usable
Oh,
one?
no, refillable.
Oh,
Yeah, that had Wanacom, our water on the island is the best, and and that was their whole campaign.
Our role may be the messaging to say our water is the best. I mean, that might be the headline of the campaign. That's where we can have an influence.
I think the
Our
way
water
to
is the best.
drive it home, and like you said, it's a cultural thing, the single-use bottles, with young people is, because everyone fancies themselves so eco-friendly, and it's so fashionable, but it's not always put into use.
Yeah.
But, if the thing that you love about Nantucket and why you come here is to enjoy the view, enjoy the ocean, enjoy our beaches, this is how they survive.
Yeah.
Is through your efforts, so maybe some kind of cool way to drive that home.
Question is, who is it that could be the lead part of the town of Nantucket to make this happen? I mean, we've got an idea, and we shouldn't lose it. And it's an idea, I mean, somebody just uttered, we've got the cleanest water. I mean, to me, that stands out as the headline. Where do we go with that idea?
Well, there is a new recycling coordinator hired at the DPW. I would think there would be, and my approach when you have something of this scale is to bring in as many divergent minds as you can to get as creative as you can to come up with a campaign. So I think that the water quality people at Natural Resources should be involved for the scientific argument, the recycling coordinator, my office, because of the impact we have potentially on visitors, and town administration, the public liaison officer would be a starting work group on the thing. First, I want to see what happens. Well, I think we need to come up with an education campaign regardless of what happens with the warrant article.
I agree. And also Comet.
Oh, and want to comment, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they send the message out to homeowners through billing and statements and things saying, hey, do this and, get water bottles for your rental customers if you rent. I mean, there's education there. And I think if we gave out free water bottles, if we could get the money to do that with someone's, funding it.
Yeah.
It just raises awareness, and it's in school. I mean, listen, you got 75% correction on the balloons on Main Street. I have faith that you can.
The next 25 is going to be tough.
That's all you need. If you get 75
But
on
it was a huge
a big
start in
success,
1
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So,
let's not lose the idea.
Parking on Main
Yep.
Street's still tough at this point.
and I was on Main Street when water
we're gonna-
balloons went by.
Thank you guys so
Thanks for
much.
coming through.
It's
Thank
okay, we're
you.
gonna-
Nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet you. See you in October.
I was there firsthand when Janet stopped a thing of water balloons with Dave that day.
Scared the hell out of that kid, didn't I?
Yes, you did. I'm like, whoa,
I put on my teacher voice.
it worked.
I have a
So-
feeling they showed back up, but anyway.
Any other comments? The school kids are really into the water bottles. They
Yeah.
instead of these.
Yeah, yeah.
Really be. I mean, I know my grandchildren. You have these great big water things that
Yeah,
my
at
daughter fills it
colleges
up
now,
in.
they are making them all use the
We were at the
reusable.
US Open last weekend, and they had water bottles that you could you could put personal imprint on. So, it was like, it took like 2 hours to do. You just pick out a design and then come back a couple hours later and pick it up. It was just like a metal bottle. They just put
Kind of like a souvenir that you could take with you.
Well, lodging should put them in all the guest rooms.
This came from a
Sorry.
lodging this morning.
we
One of the
can-
customers.
Yeah. Again, I'm sure there's something we can do,
Talk to
especially,
Jamie.
yeah, if there's a way to also position it that it somehow saves them money in any sense, then that also helps a lot. Because the water bottles aren't cheap.
No.
No.
And the trash isn't cheap, so.
Well, the fancy one I have from the Mass Cultural Council, it's one of those thermos ones, which is great for being a water bottle when you go to the movies. Keeps your vodka tonic really cool.
My kind of water bottle. Is it white or red?
It's orange. It's very noticeable.
Any other discussions? I know Janet has to go to a meeting, so I think Mary has one. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I got it down finally.
So the next meeting is the day after Columbus Day.
Okay.